Congresswoman Kathy Castor. We're here to discuss efforts to protect and improve Tampa Bay, the water quality in the Bay after a very difficult year. And I'm so excited to be joined by a true champion for the environmental health of Tampa Bay, County Commissioner Mariella Smith from Hillsborough County. Commissioner Smith is also the chair of the Hillsborough Environmental Protection Commission and has been a leading voice for decades on a healthy and clean environment and clean Tampa Bay. And everyone who loves Florida and our way of life, fishing, the manatees, marine life, a healthy local economy knows that we're all tied to a healthy and clean Tampa Bay. Our economy is dependent upon tourism and fishing, a clean port operation. But all of that really was at risk this year. It was a very difficult year. We have a pollution problem in Tampa Bay, and it's not just the devastating consequences of the Piney Point disaster, the resulting red tide, harmful alga blooms. It's also the daily runoff into the bay, the sewage treatment plants that have these gross overflows when we have big rain events, leaky septic tanks, stormwater runoff. So here's the good news that we're here to announce today. Under the bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act that was just passed by Congress and signed by President Biden, historic new funding will come to local communities like Tampa, Hillsborough County, all of the Gulf Coast communities to help us clean up Tampa Bay. We'll be able to update our water treatment plants, our wastewater treatment plants. We're going to provide new resources to address those leaky septic tanks. We're going to be able to build greater resilience and improve our shorelines. We're going to be able to tackle a lot of that stormwater runoff. And we're so fortunate to have champions like Commissioner Mariella Smith, who knows how to use those resources and are ready to get to work. Hillsborough County is already doing this. But what I'm asking here today, while Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa have been very good partners in this, we need strong state partners. And we're on the eve of the Florida legislative session, and I'm asking legislative leaders in Tallahassee now to ensure that these new funds for cleaning up our waterways, protecting the manatees and marine life, really get down to the local level. We don't need the typical shell games that go on in Tallahassee where they divert those funds, supplement and supplant money in the state budget. We need those funds to address and finally close out Piney Point, address the gypsum stacks all along Tampa Bay, make sure our local communities get the resources they need to update and modernize all of the wastewater treatment systems. This is what makes Florida and the Tampa Bay area special. Clean water, being able to go out and fish, beautiful sunsets, just being out on your back porch on the water, and it is at risk now. We now have resources to help clean up the pollution. We have champions on our side like Commissioner Smith, but we need state leaders to make this a priority this Florida legislative session, and that's what we're asking them to do. So as I said, I've been an admirer of Mariella Smith for many, many years. She is a true public servant. I was able to serve on the Hillsborough County Commission with Jan Platt, who was a champion for a clean and healthy Tampa Bay. But it was Mariella Smith who was there as a citizen, day in and day out, making sure that the county commission was held accountable for their actions. Now we're very fortunate to have her voice there on the county commission and as chair of our Environmental Protection Commission. Mariella.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Castor, and I can't help but be reminded today of the times that we worked together when you were a county commissioner and I was a citizen activist begging to clean up our septic tanks and this kind of pollution in the bay, and we worked as hard as we could there, but today we are really able to move that forward with you in Congress and me on the county commission, and asking our state partners for help as well. I want to start by expressing my gratitude, our county's gratitude to Congresswoman Castor for her long history of bringing funding to Hillsborough County on many critical projects for years, even before the current administration and the current major federal funding bills we're talking about today. Looking forward, Congresswoman Castor's work to bring home these new federal funds will be transformative for Hillsborough County on several fronts, including the essential effort to make sure Tampa Bay's water is clean and healthy. Unfortunately, as she mentioned, Tampa Bay's water quality has been declining. We've seen devastating fish kills in recent years from red tide and algae blooms, even before the Piney Point disaster. Tampa Bay lost 6,350 acres of seagrass in the 2 years before Piney Point. That's 16% of our seagrass lost in 2 years. We've been exceeding the limits set by the state for nutrient pollution in the upper bay for 2 years. And manatees are dying in record numbers, many from starvation of the loss of the seagrass. And red tide and other algae blooms have negative health impacts for humans too, as we visit the beach and are exposed to those toxins. The solution is keeping pollution out of our rivers and bay. It is much easier and cheaper to keep pollution from entering the bay than it is to clean up the bay after the damage is done. Septic tanks are a huge source of pollution for our waters. Heavy rain events flood the septic drain fields, and then that toxic waste flows into our rivers and bay, fueling red tide, blue-green algae, and harmful bacteria and parasites, none of which is attractive to tourists or businesses. We have 120,000 septic tanks in our county, 26,000 in the urban communities from Palm River to Gibsonton to Carrollwood, parts of Brandon, and meanwhile, Ruskin and Waimama are on antiquated, low-pressure sewer systems that desperately need replacing with modern systems. These urban neighborhoods in our county in 2022 should be served by clean, modern sewage systems. Providing modern sewage systems will not only help our environment, it will help the tourism economy that depends on a healthy bay. And it will also help bring jobs to our communities. Commercial development and jobs are held back in communities that are limited to septic. A lot of businesses and restaurants can't be built where a standard sewage system isn't available. This has been holding back business in communities like Gibsonton and Ruskin and Waimama for years. Our county is doing our part. We budgeted $33 million in the 2021 budget towards fixing this problem. But the problem is very expensive, and that is just a start. We need this federal help. And that's why it's so important to have a federal representative who really understands our needs, the root of the problem, and how to help us. The ARP bill, American Rescue Plan, brought us $77 million for converting septic systems to modern sewage systems. And now the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act will bring us more help, with thanks greatly to Congresswoman Castor and her advocacy for our neighborhoods and our bay. We are also grateful for much needed funds to help fix our stormwater infrastructure. We have several communities that have long been dealing with stormwater flooding, and we will now, working together, be able to address them. The flooding issues in Progress Village, for example, will finally be addressed by $17.5 million from the American Rescue Plan funds that Congresswoman Castor worked so hard to bring home. Another piece of the water pollution problem comes from fertilizer, which not only fertilizes plants, but also fuels red tide and other toxic algae blooms in the bay. I'm very pleased to have successfully brought a strong fertilizer ordinance to our county, which will keep many tons of pollution out of our rivers, lakes, and bay every year. This now brings us in line with the regulations in the city of Tampa and Pinellas County by banning the application of fertilizer during the rainy season from June 1st to September 30th, when so much of it rinses off our yards and flows through our wetlands and waterways and ends up polluting the bay. This ordinance also prohibits fertilizer application close to water bodies. So today, with those pieces of solution to this problem, I'm feeling very optimistic that we are headed towards a cleaner, healthier bay and building stronger protections against flooding, working together with our federal partners. And I join Congresswoman Castor in asking our state to do their part in helping us in this multi-layered partnership for this multifaceted solution to the pollution in our bay. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to applaud Mariella Smith as well, because she truly has been a leader on the Hillsborough County Commission. That fertilizer ordinance is a critical piece to improving the water quality and health of Tampa Bay, to protecting the manatees, all marine life, all of the beautiful birds that you see that make living here so special. But we do have a significant pollution problem here in Tampa Bay, and as Commissioner Smith mentioned, it's multifaceted. We've got to address that fertilizer runoff. They're doing that in the city and the county. We've got to address those leaky septic tanks. The county is doing that with a little federal support. We need the state to be a better partner there. We know that our wastewater treatment plants that have these gross overflows when we have huge rain events, they need to be updated, and under the new bipartisan infrastructure law, local communities will have the resources to do that. Again, we need the state to speed those new funds to the local level so they can get to work. We don't have time to waste. We've fallen back on seagrasses, as Commissioner Smith has mentioned. We know that this is what defines our way of life here. Tampa Bay, that's how we're known. Not by the Buccaneers, not by the Lightning. It's by this beautiful body of water that defines our way of life and makes it so special to live here. We need to protect it, improve it, so that it is here for generations to come.